Breaking news. Putin's forces, escaping in disguise, after nuclear warned. Russian soldiers stationed in Ukraine for Vladimir Putin's war have resorted to extreme measures to leave the country. According to information obtained by RadarOnline.com, Russian soldiers escaped in disguise, along with civilians after a nuclear evacuation warning was issued to residents of Enerhodar. The report was the most recent allegation of atrocities committed by poorly equipped Russian troops against civilians. As of February 2022, when Putin ordered the unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, Russians have been desperately trying to avoid being sent to the front lines. The IAEA issued a mandatory evacuation order over the weekend for residents of the Zaporizhia area, which is home to the country's only nuclear power plant, after hearing that Putin's troops had broken into the power plant and set off explosive devices inside. The IAEA issued a warning. A skeleton crew was put in place to watch the remaining systems while 6 reactors were shut down at the nuclear plant. Locals were told to evacuate despite the power plant operating under stringent and limited conditions because of the ongoing conflict. The news was welcomed by Russian troops as a way to avoid Putin's wrath. Kremlin Mayor Yevgeny Belitsky allegedly said that Putin's soldiers abandoned their fatigues during the escape, as reported by Ukrainska Pravda. There are some military personnel who are trying to escape from the temporarily occupied territories, Belitsky said of the Russian forces. Therefore, locals say that members of the Russian military frequently disguise themselves as civilians. Sign up for the RadarOnline.com newsletter and you'll always know the latest scoop. Daily. Breaking. Latest gossip about famous people. Costs nothing. According to the mayor, stricter checks have been implemented for passenger vehicles leaving the area as a result of the actions taken by Russian soldiers following the evacuation warning. Getting out of the temporarily occupied territory is a major motivation, Belitsky said. As a result, a second screening has been implemented before leaving the area temporarily under occupation, when they check all civilians in cars and try to prevent Russian military personnel from being disguised in cars, Belitsky said of screening departing vehicles. Locals use Russist as shorthand for Russian fascist. IAEA officials have not been able to visit the nuclear plant in months because of the ongoing war, so the public has not been given official confirmation of the plant's current status. On Tuesday, Vladimir Putin's annual Victory Day parade in Moscow failed to impress, with critics making fun of the lonely World War II-era tank that rolled through Red Square. Fewer than 10,000 soldiers participated in this year's commemoration of the Soviet Union's 1945 victory over Nazi Germany, the lowest turnout since 2008. Even in 2020, at the height of the COVID pandemic, some 13,000 soldiers participated in the procession. More than a month after invading Ukraine, 11,000 soldiers marched in a parade last May. There were no fighter jets doing a flyover, and the whole thing was over in a fraction of the usual time. Under Putin's watchful eye, an 83-year-old T-34 tank bearing a red flag trundled through Moscow's main square in place of phalanxes of modern battle tanks. A poor argument. Yelena Orlova, a bystander, noted, "There are no tanks." To paraphrase, "We're upset, but that's all right, it will be better in the future." AT-14 Armata and AT-74, two of Russia's newest tanks, were on display at last year's parade.